Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today's Inspired Podcast. I'm so excited to be back with you, and we've got some exciting announcements we want to make, and I am amazed by all the different partners from all the different walks of life that we've been able to bring together here at Integrity. And really, the exciting part is how many young partners that we've been able to bring into the Integrity family that really kind of help us grow faster and look at things differently than you might have thought about in the past. And I'm super excited to be joined today by Scott DeLong of the DeLong Sales Group, who is joining the Integrity family. They're based in LaGrange, Georgia, and they specialize in providing final expense and life insurance throughout the Southeast. And Scott's experience as an agent, writing and helping people in the home really has proved to be invaluable to his growth. And really one of the things we're so excited about him joining the Integrity family so that we can look at ways to better serve people in the years to come. And he is one of these amazing, energetic, dynamic leaders that is passionate for growth. And that's what we're all about here at Integrity as well. And so I'm excited to introduce you guys all to Scott DeLong, the DeLong Sales Group. And Scott, thanks for being here in Dallas today,
thank you, Brian.
man.
Thank you so much.
Listen, man, we are so excited about partnering with you. What you've built has been remarkable, especially in a short time. I got my start in the business by selling final expense door to door. It taught me so much on how to empathize with clients, on how to really what that entire process is. I tell people this all the time. If this doesn't work out, I'm going to pick up a kid and go right back out to the field, because there's so much that you can do to really help people in such a powerful way. And it's exciting to have such another incredible young leader joining the Integrity family. What drew you to this opportunity?
Well, Integrity, Brian, has done incredible things in a short period of time. In fact, on that note, I brought you a gift that might better explain where I was going with that. So I'd like for you to open that, and I'd like to explain to you the meaning of this. So
hey, let me just say this. You did not have to do this. This means a lot to me. It's a Mont Blanc pen. The detail and the artisanship here is remarkable. I have never honed, I love pens. I'm a pen guy. My wife thinks it's ridiculous, but I have never owned a Mont Blanc pen. This means a lot, man.
Well, the story behind this one is this pen here is called Around the World in 80 Days. So there's a lot of artistry in it, and it's based on the novel Around the World in 80 Days. So with Mont Blanc, they design pens with their own stories, but one thing I've learned is that the pen holder has their own story for it. So in this story, Phileas Fogg was a scientist, and he was just very accomplished in this time period in the 1800s. And with his accomplishments, he had accomplished so much, like gotten the human body to go over 50 miles per hour without disrupting its organs and all of this different stuff in the story. So the England Minister of Science did not particularly care for Phileas Fogg. So Phileas Fogg shows up to one of the meetings, and he's boasting about something that he's accomplished, like getting a human being to go 50 miles per hour. And it become this thing where they start mocking him and talking about how bad of a scientist he is. Well, the Minister of Science for England challenged Phileas Fogg, since he could get a human to go 50 miles an hour, that he couldn't travel the world in 80 days. So Phileas Fogg made him a bet, said, I will travel the world in 80 days, and if I do, I want your position. But if you don't, then it's going to cost him his entire livelihood, because he's going to spend a lot of money doing this. So Phileas Fogg initially, after he set out to accomplish something that could not be accomplished and had never been accomplished, he immediately starts regretting it, or having some regrets, thinking, I don't know that I can actually do this. But his valet, Passepartout, ended up encouraging him that if you feel very strongly about this, you need to go do it. Let's go. Let's go. So they initially set out to go travel the world in 80 days. So the story for this pen from me to you is really what Integrity has done. Integrity set out to accomplish something that had never been accomplished. Probably a lot of people along the way said, Brian, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You'll never get all of these people.
I was one of them.
Right. And you were one of the ones, questioning yourself on it. So, But you think about all the things that integrity has done, accomplishing something that's never been done before, right? A lot of people along the way said, you'll never do it. But one thing that Phileas Fogg did is he carried 2 people with him on this journey that helped him. And so one thing he was very smart about is surrounding himself with good folks. And that's also the integrity thing. I mean, you walk around this office, you meet the team of people. You know immediately that this staff, this team, the integrity team, is literally second to none. And without everybody involved on the journey, maybe you don't get to this point. So for me, the story of the pen it's the title of it is Around the World in 80 Days, but that doesn't do it justice. It's really what's happened with integrity. It's accomplishing something that people probably mocked along the way. People said it wouldn't happen. And, in a short period of years, I mean, look where integrity's at now.
Man.
I mean, probably even you and a lot of people, I'm sure you had a vision for this. Actually, I know you would have had a vision for this, but there's people that didn't know that vision that probably mocked it along the way. So this pen, I hope each time you use it, you remember that where integrity started and where it's at. And even the artistry in it, it's got little things in it. It's got the waves from the ocean where he sailed across the ocean. But even those waves, I thought about from the integrity thing. It's, even on the journey of accomplishing it in 80 days, certainly it didn't come easy. There were a lot of storms, a lot of trials, a lot of challenges. And for me, those waves, when I saw this particular pen, I thought, your story, Brian Adams' integrity certainly had things that they struggled with, met challenges, met storms along the way, but somehow each time prevailed. And so I hope that each time you use it, you remember, and I know you do every day, you think about where integrity starts, because I hear you say it all the time, but it's just a reminder. I hope it is for you, man.
That means so much. Thank you, buddy. Man. I don't get this very often. I'm kind of speechless. I'm really moved. The artistry for this pen, I didn't realize those were waves. For us at Integrity, first of all, our color's blue and gold, but there's a lot of symbolism with waves for us at Integrity, especially if you're around our office, some of the different things that we talk about kind of go back to a lot of what this symbolizes. And really the idea that Tom and Mike and I had, and Dan McNerney and a bunch of us who came together in the early days, was this idea that rising tide would raise all boats, and this idea that if we all came together, we could accomplish more. And there's no way you could do this on your own. There's no way you can go that far on your own. And that's really been the biggest part of the integrity story in so many ways, of us being able to bring in others to the integrity family to say, let's grow faster, let's serve more people. And the symbolism, we have, in my office, we have a piece of art that symbolizes kind of rain, the idea that in the Bible, rain is a blessing, and it's our job to bless others. And also, it's really our job to make it rain in a lot of ways. We have a piece of art that I commissioned that was about the blue ocean strategy and the fact that, stay out of the red ocean where limited resources, limited ideas exist, and people are fighting over those little things, and focus on the big blue ocean, the opportunity out there. We have a piece of art that we commissioned that is about waves, literally about if you're a surfer and you're trying to ride a wave, you don't need to take every wave. In fact, if you tried, obviously I'm not that big of a surfer, but I like the idea here. If you tried to take every wave, you'd wear yourself out and you'd never make it, probably drown. But waves come in sets, and then you look for the right wave and you take that. And that's how great surfers exist. And the same thing about us looking for partnerships is we don't need to try to partner with everybody. We look for the right opportunity, and the opportunity to partner with great people like you and our other incredible partners, because together we can all rise together, and rising tide will raise boats. So this, I love the symbolism. I'm going to cherish this. I can't tell you what that means to me.
Well,
so thank you, buddy.
It's literally the integrity story, man. And, it had the integrity colors. But to your point a minute ago, you said, you got to pray for rain. Well, I always say all the time, you can't pray for rain and not carry an umbrella.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to be successful, you have to do the things necessary to be successful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just wishful thinking. And certainly with Integrity, with you, with all the original people, there was this vision, but not only this vision, there was this methodical steps that were taken to accomplish it. And if you look at where you started, where Integrity is now, for me, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a partner in Integrity and be shoulder to shoulder with the industry greats. I mean, people that are just phenomenal people that you and the team have brought together. And again, done something that had never been done before, and you know, in a lot of regards, a lot of people thought couldn't be done. So.
Yeah, well, there's so many different ways that you can look at that. The other part is, if your job is like you're thinking about how can I make it rain. I think a lot of people, especially, you know, starting business like I did out of my house and how you started from scratch, what happens is you start trying to make it rain, and then you're trying to catch the raindrops, and you're trying to, you know, figure out all that, and then you get frustrated because you're all wet, right? And you're like soaking wet. It's like, I don't know what to do. And that's part of the idea here, is if we come together and we look at how do we grow faster together, how do you not have to go out and catch all the raindrops anymore? How can other people take some of that burden off of you so that you can focus on how do I help serve other people and make it rain? How do I bless people? And there's other people who can catch those raindrops, process them, and do some other things. And that's part of the idea that we've been talking about here a lot at Integrity, is we've got all these pieces of the puzzle put together. And the idea here is now you just got to put them together. It's kind of like, I got two little boys that are really into Lego. Did you know you're not supposed to say Legos? You say Lego.
I didn't know
it's
that.
Not plural. I just learned this.
There's a lot of them, though.
But there's a lot of them. Right. But what's amazing is you get all these pieces, and they're all just like these like little pieces. And if you're not careful, like if you ever step on a piece of Legos on the floor, it's one of the most painful things I've ever stepped on in my life. Your heel hits a Lego, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, like what is like, you know, did I just step on? And that's where I think the idea for us is, you have all these pieces of Lego like spread out, and for some reason they can figure out how to put them all together, but they have directions, right? Mm-hmm. They've got, okay, there's a bag one, and they look at the directions, and that's kind of what we've been looking at here at Integrity, is we got all these pieces. Now it's like, how do you put them together to even create something more special? How do you look at ways to help people so that they're making it rain, but they're not having to try to catch the rain? Let the people who are amazing at catching the rain or covering you with an umbrella and all those different analogies. Like, how do you bring all this together, mm-hmm. which is super exciting? That's where value is created.
Absolutely.
In a huge way, and allows you to grow faster. And so this means a lot to me, because the artisanship, the craftsmanship, I've always loved the story about Mont Blanc and how they created it in the first place. But this is really exciting. The other thing is, I love that you're joining at this time. So you're a young guy. You've been building a great business, and you've had great mentors along the way. Frank Buse is the one who introduced us, and like, I don't know if anybody has a bigger heart than Frank Buse. I mean, just one of the greatest guys. I love, you know, when Georgia was winning the national championship, he's texting me all the time, showing me pictures of going to the games. And he's just got that joy, but he's also got that commitment to excellence and looking at how can I help others grow up in the business and succeed. But you're a young guy, and I think there's something interesting about what people don't realize what we've done here at Integrity. We brought these industry icons and legends into the business, some of the best known people and brands into the business. And we've also brought in a lot of the new, young, hungry, incredible, sharp guys into this market. And it's amazing to me the opportunity that we see in this market. What is it that drew you to the insurance business? Nobody, we talk about this a lot, nobody grows up and says, I'm going to be an insurance.
Right.
Like, if you ask my kids today, what are you going to be? It's not even going to cross their mind. It's not even the last thing they say. It's not even going to come up in their mind like, I want to be in the insurance business. Yeah. I'm not going to be in the wealth management business. They're not even going to think about that. They're going to think about probably being like, they're both playing basketball right now, so they're going to probably say, I want to be a basketball player. They need to come to the reality that that's not in their genes. Like there is something called genetics that aren't in their favor.
Genetics are undefeated, man.
They're undefeated.
Undefeated.
We'll break that news to them later. But what drew you to this business, and what are you so passionate about?
So, 10 years ago, I've been in this industry 10 years now.
Wow.
And I had some buddies of mine that were in this industry.
So just put that in perspective. How old are you today?
I'm 34.
So you're 34. So you started in this business when you were 24. Very similar to when I started in the business. I think I was 23. Started selling insurance in college when I was 21, maybe. I don't even know. I got to do some math. But so really started in the business 23. So again, your friends probably were like my friends, like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? You doing?
Yeah, well, it was me asking them that, like, what are you doing? I wanted more. Growing up, I hated school, to be honest with you. I was the guy that sat in high school and thought, I don't know what I'm going to do one day. So I tried college, didn't make it in college. I went to college for criminal justice. I was a police officer shortly after college. So when I started working at a police department at the age of 20, so I wasn't even old enough to actually be a police officer. So I got to stay at the department there for about a year, meeting all the people, learning all the different things. So then I went to police academy and became a police officer for several years. But along the way, I had some buddies of mine that were, successful people. And, I wanted more for me and my family. At that time, it was just my wife and I, Ashley. We didn't have any children. But I knew I wanted more. And being a guy that doesn't have the education to go, what America tells you got to have to be successful, I didn't have that. So insurance was a way that I could go write my own paycheck. So the first week in the field, I went and rode with this guy. We went 30 minutes up the road. He went and wrote one application. I saw the wholesale take place. I got back in the car, got my calculator out on my phone, started doing some numbers, and I go, man, there's no way that's right. And he goes, let me see. I said, is this how much money I just made? Splitting that with you? He goes, do it again. So I did it again. He goes, yeah. It was like $400. I hadn't made $400 in a day my entire life.
Yeah.
So at that point, I told him, I said, man, I really appreciate the training, but if you don't mind just taking me back to the office, I don't need to see this anymore. I'm going to go do this on my own.
I got it.
Because without you, I could have made 800. So that was kind of the rest is history. I went back, got my own leads, went to work. And once I got into it, I realized that helping the people we see, just Americans who have not had a fair shake, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right. People that have been beat up their whole life.
Yeah.
Woke up one day, they turned 60, 65 years old, and something they've never thought about is leaving their children with a debt when they pass away.
Yeah.
And so you're able to go see these people that don't want to leave their children that $10,000 or $15,000 burial expense. And a guy like me, right, nobody can go help that person prepare for what the family's worst day of their life will be. And I know one of the things Integrity always says, which is such a really cool thing, is, helping Americans for the good days ahead.
Yeah.
And, when you're able to give that person that policy to help them with that, that's life-changing for them.
Yeah.
And in turn, it was life-changing for me. So that's where I got my start in the industry. I learned that I could make more money than I'd ever made in my life. And so after taking some time to get really good at that, I didn't want to hire any agents. I wanted to be really, really good at sales. So that way, when I did hire some, I knew that if I was, hiring them, recruiting them to leave their job where they're at, it was my responsibility to make sure they could pay their bills.
Yeah.
So I took it, still to this day, take it very seriously that when someone comes to work with us, it's my responsibility to make sure they make it.
Yeah.
But the first 2 years of my career, I wanted to make sure that I got really good at writing applications. So that way, when I got ready to duplicate that into another agent, it was a winning system.
Which is pretty intuitive, frankly, because if you haven't played the game, it's hard to coach the game, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so that was a lot of my background is, you have to be able to, know what you're doing and what you're talking about, because if you look at every job at Integrity, other than maybe a technology job, I can honestly say I've done that. Let me show you how to do it, right? And that's how a lot of our partners have done. They've dealt with the books, they've dealt with the compliance issues or legal issues. They've dealt with marketing. They've dealt with recruiting agents. Most of them have all sold in some form or fashion. And there's one of those things. It's like we've done all of those things, and now how do we do the things we love and do it better? I love your heart in the fact Zig Ziglar says that you can have anything in this world that you want if you help enough people get what they want. Yeah. It's just such a simple and powerful statement. Yeah. I just really believe in that. And I love your heart in the fact that as you talk about how you're helping people plan for the good days ahead, of really thinking about how can I help them, and in turn that help you and your family in so many ways. And this business is just such an amazing business for so many reasons. And the thing I love about you and so many others are the younger group of people coming into this business, the millennials that typically would say, I'm going to go do something sexier or whatever.
It's attractive to be able to serve other people, and I think that's where all successful people, at some point along the way, they got really good at serving other people. Yeah. I had this thing years ago that I used to do, and I stole it from a guy that lives in my hometown, but he always had this thing where, anything he wanted, he felt like he should give it away first. So he would give away whatever it is that he wanted. So like if he wanted an iPad, he'd give away an iPad. And he had this philosophy that he always did that. And so for me, I always remember that in terms of anything it is that I want, I feel like I need to give it away first. That idea of serving other people. And that's the thing that Integrity does really, really well at. The camaraderie here, the atmosphere here, it's all about, Patrick Bet-David, his agency name, People Helping People. I love that name because that is what Integrity is. Yeah. In the office, the staff, the team, everybody, it's people helping people. Yeah. And if we ever lose sight of that, I don't know that we can grow anymore without helping other people.
Look, and I think with great people like you, we'll never lose sight of that. Attracting people like yourself and all of our incredible partners who are passionate about helping people, you're not going to lose that. And then the other thing is, one thing I love about millennials, I talk about this a lot. If my wife were here, my wife has never shopped, I don't think, at Louis Vuitton or Chanel or Gucci and that stuff. That's just not my wife. My wife, she'd rather buy a dress at Walmart, literally, and she does. And she's proud of it. She's like, I got this for $13. What do you think? And I love that about her. But where she will spend money on is something that has a cause. And she would rather spend more money on that has a purpose than anything else that just has a brand, right? And it's like this gift that you've given me. It has a purpose. It has a meaning. It's deeper than just, hey, I got you a nice pen. Let me tell you the story, because that story creates the value. Yeah, absolutely. And most people don't think about that. Most people think, well, I got this brand and it has this reason or this whatever. The story behind that brand is what makes the difference.
That's where the real value is held. I mean, it's just like Integrity. I mean, to most people, they might just see a name. I was just having this conversation earlier with somebody. I said, I remember going to the old Integrity building before here. And so I felt like I was privileged to see the old building because I can really appreciate what's here now. You should have seen that was your house, right?
There's been a couple of iterations, but that one.
But seriously, the story, real quick.
I still live there. You can come to my house and see the real one.
I remember the story of you telling where you had to turn off your doorbell, right? Didn't you have to turn your doorbell off because you didn't want people to hear the doorbell dinging in the background?
So it's funny. My wife and I were talking about this morning. I haven't been traveling as much, and so she's not quite so sure what to do with me because I've got a lot of energy, and this weekend I'm like organizing stuff, which is not my personality a lot of times. And she's like, "Do you remember when you used to work out your house? And you had all this much more time when we first started dating." And she's like, she was like, "I remember thinking, what do you do since you work out of your house?" Because nobody worked out of their house back then. And my doorbell was one of those doorbells like ding dong, type deal. and my dog would flip out. So if the UPS guy, this is before Amazon, UPS guy or somebody dropped something off and it'd freak out my dog, and then people are like, do you work from home? Because that's not cool. It wasn't cool back then. And so I changed the doorbell to where I bought a special doorbell. It was crazy. It was like $120. I remember thinking, man, I hope I can afford this. But it went ding, and that's all it was. So nope, my dog didn't bark, and nobody knew I was working from home. But things have changed in so many ways, and you just got to do what it takes. Mm-hmm. And I know you did what it took to get there in so many ways. And people I know told you, I don't know if you can do this.
Oh yeah, a few people along the way have told me that I'd never make it in this industry. But I think for me, and much like you, I'm sure that's fuel to go be.
Oh my God,
I would much rather people tell me that I'm not going to make it at something than telling me I'm doing a good job at it. Because I think people, don't get me wrong, this is the type of person I am. The more somebody tells me I'm doing a good job at it, I feel like that puts me back in complacency because I'm not searching to be better. Yeah.
If you look at almost every one of our partners, pretty much every one of our partners, you mentioned Patrick Bet-David. I mean, that's a great example. He immigrated here from Iran when he was 10. I love that story. But most all of us, in fact, I think all of us were told they couldn't do it. They told, they started from scratch. And there was this and you fit in so perfectly because there's two common threads we found is people who are humble and hardworking. And if you're humble, if you're willing to serve others and you have a true heart for that, and you're really hardworking, you can accomplish anything in this life. And you can go around the world in 80 days. So I've never read that book.
You should read it.
Did Phineas Fogg make it in 80 days?
He made it around the world in 80 days. In fact, the first leg of the journey, he'd already timed it where most everybody said it would take 20 days. He bumped it down to 18 days. So on the pin, on the very front of it, I'm going to show you a couple of things. It's got 18 days right here on the back side of the pin.
Wow.
And 80 days on the front side of the pin. And on the clip of it, they put the spade to symbolize the bet that he made. And even throughout the artistry here, you'll see like the diamonds, the hearts, the clubs, all the different things to symbolize the bet that he made. And that was the storyline of that. But again, for the integrity thing, man, it was you put it all on the line. You not only you, there's so many people who, partners, staff, team, like the entire team, put everything on the line to get here. And when you think about the journey, even you thinking about, the doorbell, to me, that's so significant because that doorbell was one of the things that obviously you remembered at the very start of it that got you to where you are today. And I think it's just the journey that people go on. So many times it's easy to forget the journey when you've landed where you're at.
Yeah.
But I think the real value is found in the journey.
I think there's no question the real value is found in the journey. And what I believe is we're just getting started.
I love it.
I totally believe that wholeheartedly. I don't think that we've accomplished anything yet. I think that we're in those first 18 days. We may have gotten there faster than some people have thought. We're in the first 18 days. And if we keep putting everything on the line, everything, there's no telling where we can go. And with great people like you, we're going to get there and go really far. Thanks, man, for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for sharing your heart.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the gift. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it is humbling to see great partners join the Integrity family just like this. And I know you also will share my excitement about the opportunity for people who want to join the Integrity family and come alongside of us and grow faster. And that should encourage all of us. That should encourage all of us to frankly work harder, to put it on the line, and to go further than anybody else because that opportunity is in front of us. And as we bring all these pieces together, as we look for ways to optimize the business, as we look for ways to come together and support each other better and grow faster, I think the future is so bright, especially with guys like Scott joining today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I'm humbled when you meet great leaders like Scott and just the opportunity we have to come together and serve more people. I hope everybody has a blessed week. God bless you all and take care.